In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the world, the great God who was to come and indeed has come to seek and to save that which was lost. And if we search the pages of history and the pages of Scripture, we can find no person more fitting that description of the lost sheep or the lost people than the black man and woman of America in the Western Hemisphere, who have not only been lost from our native land and people in Africa for a little over 400 years, but worse than that, we have been lost from the very nature and power of our own being. Lost so much so that the scholars said they're hopeless. Lost so much so that the prophets, as they looked down the wheel of time, said that we were so lost that we were irreconcilable again to our own self and our own culture and our own people. So lost, they said, we were incorrigible. And there was no force, there was no power that could correct the black man and woman of America and bring him back to a position of rectitude. So lost, they said he was irredeemable, that there's no price that one could pay to bring him back from his hopelessly lost and wicked state. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us that when Almighty God, Allah, created the heavens and the earth from nothing, He destroyed the impossible. So our condition is not so hopeless, is not so incorrigible, irreconcilable, and irredeemable that a solution cannot be found to bring us home. And so the Scriptures teach us that God would come. For the impossible for man sets the stage for His coming. And it is written that He would come to search for the lost brother. And it is our contention to the world that He is not to come, but has already been in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever, and that this mighty one whom the Scriptures prophesy that would come and search among the lost brothers for one whom He would raise up and teach the knowledge of how to go after this lost brother, redeem him and bring him again into the power of Himself. And although I thank Almighty God for Nat Turner and Denmark Vesey and Gabriel Prosser, and though I'm grateful to Almighty God for David Walker and Edward Blyden and Frederick Douglass, and though I thank the mighty Creator for Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman and W.E.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey, and I'm grateful for Noble Drew Ali, for Booker T. Washington. I'm grateful to the Creator for Adam Clayton Powell, for Paul Robeson, Stokely Carmichael, H. Rap Brown, Imamu Baraka, Ron Karenga. I'm grateful for Imari Obadele. I'm grateful to Almighty God for Huey Newton and Eldridge Cleaver and the Brothers of the Panther Party and every black group that struggled to lift our pitiable and wretched condition one atom's weight above what it was. grateful to Almighty God for Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. But I shall be eternally grateful for the man who taught me what I know, and the man that made me what I am becoming, set it in motion. The man that the world would crush to the earth today, the messenger of Allah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm grateful to Allah for him. And it is in his name and the name of the God who raised him up that I stand before you today, honored to be here, thankful that I was able to hear those of you who spoke, grateful to Brother Professor Amin Ra for his words and his introduction. I greet you, my beloved brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. In the Arabic language we say Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be unto you. And to those of you who are not familiar with that word or those greeting words, it simply means peace. The world today seeks peace. President Carter, Anwar Sadat, and Menachem Begin rejoiced yesterday in the signing of a treaty of peace. They talked about beating their swords into plowshares. They talked about studying war no more. How could this be? How can there be peace if there is no justice? And how can there be justice if there is no truth? And how can there be truth except there's someone to tell it? And if someone would rise to tell the truth upon which justice is structured, which will give real peace, that person is an enemy in this country. That person is an enemy in this world, as was Jesus, as was Moses, as was Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, and every brother who stood up for justice and spoke truth. They were cut down because this world don't want truth. This world don't want justice. And this world does not really want peace. Ah, peace. How do you spell it, America? P-I-E-C-E? A piece of the action? Piece of the oil? Piece of the earth? How do you spell it, America? How can you have peace when Indians are on a reservation and are denied justice in their own land? How can you have peace when the Mexican Americans are mistreated in what was theirs? How can you have peace if a whole nation of people have been kidnapped from their original land and people and robbed and spoiled? You can make a false peace between the Arabs and the Jews because there's some oil there that you want to protect. But the real man that the real war will be fought over is the poor, blind, deaf, and dumb black man in America. He's got a voice in this whole question of peace today. Peace. On whose terms? Peace. Some of you, my beloved brothers and sisters of University of California, is it? At Long Beach. You don't feel that there's anything to struggle for? We have it now. What do you have? What have you been given as a requirement of justice for what America has done to us and our fathers? What has been given? The Jews can say to the German government, because of the Holocaust, we demand so much and so much in reparations, and until that is done, justice has not been served. If the Jewish Holocaust means so much in the eyes of the world, only 6 million Jews' lives were lost. What about the 150 million black lives that were lost in the Middle Passage alone from Africa to America? What about the millions that were lost in what they called the Belgian Congo, when they murdered millions of our brothers and sisters in the Congo so that they would never rise up to claim the riches of that land? What about the 100 million dark lives that have been snatched from the earth for every 1,000 years of your Caucasian existence on this planet? Who's going to justify those lives? You can't have no peace. You better hold your sword in your hand, because there's a war shaping up to justify the whole thing. And then you can beat your swords into pruning hooks. Then you can study war no more, because the warmonger, the war maker, and the bloodshedder will have been removed from the face of the earth. Peace. Bear with me, brothers and sisters. Your subject that you gave me today is institutional racism, with a particular focus on education. Not really. Thank you. Brother said, go any way you want to go. But before I say any more, I want to say how grateful I am to be here with you, to hear you, the brilliant leaders of our people tomorrow. And if God will spare my life and put his protection around me as he did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we will work in such a way that you will be protected as you evolve and emerge, that never again will the leaders of tomorrow have to go through with what the leaders of yesterday did. They paid the price that you could walk a little easier, and we must make sure of that. Now, before I get into the subject of racism, I would like to start first with struggle. The Holy Quran, which is the book of scripture of Muslims, not an Arab religion. I want to say this because some of you really misunderstand Islam. Some of you who are Muslims. If you think that this is an Arab religion, then we shouldn't take it. The Quran says Islam, or submission to the will of God, truth and righteousness, is the natural religion of man, and it is the nature of God and the nature in which He created man. He created man right. He created man to live right, to walk upright to truth. Any deviation from right is against your own nature and against the power of your own natural self. That didn't start with Prophet Muhammad of Arabia, peace be upon him. That started with the originator of the heavens and the earth, who made no mistakes. He created it right. Bear with me. This book, Quran, says Allah created man to face difficulties. So when things get hard, things get rough, things get tough, we don't lay down. Oh man, it's terrible. We can't make it. The odds are so great. He's so powerful. He's so... Oh, shut up. He has no power but the power you give him by belief in his power. Today we want to deal with real power. The power that is bound up in the very nature in which you are created, that you must explore, explode, and exploit for your own liberation. Move on. Allah, God, created man from sperm mixed with ovum, and a tiny egg. Sperm is a fraction. And Almighty God, according to the Quran, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say He, Allah, is one. Not a fraction. If He's one, the law under which He created is one, then He has created us to evolve and to move toward what? Oneness. So He created male and female to move toward what? Oneness. The sperm understands that. How come we don't? We're talking on struggle. Everybody all right? Yes, sir. Now, if the sperm, before it grew into intelligence, understood how much it needed the egg, can you dig it? Pardon my departure from college friends. If the sperm understood it, and the sperm is tested, notice how great a test is put on sperm. The number one test, I got it, all right. I get it, but see that? That's the number one test before you even came to existence. The Creator ordained that you first start the process of life in a hostile environment. The vaginal tract of the female filled with acid. is diametrically opposed to the nature of the life of the sperm. Biologically speaking, I think you'll find that that is correct. Now look, brother and sister, hear me out. If God, in His wisdom, ordained that we struggle first in a hostile environment to get to the end, then that's telling you that unity is a word. But it's a word that is noble, and it's a principle that you got to struggle to achieve. And the first thing you've got to do is overcome your own hostility to yourself and your hostility to your brother, because we have been put into a hostile environment and we have become hostile to one another. Is that right? So the achievement of unity demands what? Struggle against hostility, internally and externally. Now, nature is teaching us, brothers and sisters, that you should never expect an easy time out of life. Life has many ups and downs, many rigors, many trials, many tribulations, and you just can't have pleasure without pain. You cannot have joy without sadness. You cannot have life without death. You cannot have the ocean without its roar. So you cannot have liberation, freedom, without struggle to attain it. Understand, our fathers mastered the jungle of East Asia, as it is now called Africa. Our fathers mastered a hostile environment. And right now, if you go into the interior of Africa, you find that our people have mastered it. Go into Arabia. As I've been blessed to travel there, the ugliest country physically I've ever seen in my life. But those Bedouin Arabs have mastered the desert. Go up into Alaska and look at the intense cold, and the Eskimo has mastered that environment. Look at the Caucasians coming out of the hills and cave sides of Europe. He mastered that environment to overcome. And every time you master a hostile environment and overcome, you get stronger. And the greater your will, then you take another hill and another mountain and another mountain until you have evolved all the way from sperm to God. I'm going to say that again. Until you have evolved all the way from sperm to God. What is your destiny? God. What is your destiny? To be a reflection of the divine, supreme being. What is your destiny? Not just to be a human being, but your destiny is to be a divine being, mastering all of the forces and laws of the physical universe. That's your destiny. We start from sperm in a hostile environment. Test number 2. How many sperm are emitted at one time? Some biologists say from 100 million to 1 billion at one time. And only one sperm can germinate that egg. So what were the odds that you would get here? Come on. 100 million to 1 to 1 billion to 1. Now, you gamble. Don't you gamble sometimes? What odds have you ever met on the track? Some of you foolish enough to play the numbers. But what odds have you ever met to equal the odds that you faced before you got on the planet? 1,100,000,000 to 1,000,000,000 to 1, and you're here. Now you're going to tell me you're not qualified to struggle, to overcome? Oh, of course you are. If you made it as a sperm, that's a sign that you can make it as a man. What's the third test? Everybody all right?
Yes, sir.
The third test is that the sperm, like the salmon, has got to swim upstream against the pull of gravity to get to the egg. Ain't that something? So before you got here, brother, look at what you had to do. You had to show your worthiness of the gift of life by making it in the hostile environment, overcoming the odds, pulling up against the pull of gravity, swimming against the current. And you made it. And you came to life. And your mama nursed you from her breast. And here you are, talking about it. What struggle? Oh man, we can't make it against Whitey's too tough. Mighty Whitey ain't that tough. So brother and sister, when the going gets rough for you, and you begin to think you want to give up, just think about when you were a sperm and say, damn, if I could do that then with no intelligence, what should I be able to do now that I'm at California State at Long Beach? But you say, we can't do anything here because of institutional racism. Let's get into it. Some scholars say it's not man, it's the system. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad caused us to disagree with that argument. That's like saying it's not the spider, it's his web. Does not the web come from the spider? Well, where does the system come from? Come on! It comes out of the minds of men. So if the system is rotten, the heart and the mind that produced it is as rotten as the system. Is that right? All right. So, what are you saying, Mr. Farrakhan? If you tear down the spider's web and leave the spider, won't he spin it again? Then if you can't change the nature of a spider, you have to develop some strong DDT. All right, moving on. Everybody all right? We're not going to be long. We're just going to be strong. In depth, by the help of Allah. Listen. Now, what are we saying? Brothers and sisters, you have to understand race. And you got to understand racism. And you really have to first define your terms so you really know what you're talking about. This is a racist institution. Very good. But now let's dig deeper. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad never used race when referring to the original man or the early man or the aboriginal man or the black man. He never used the term race because race implies a beginning and an ending. And the scripture says of that ancient man, he's Alpha and Omega. He's that from which all things begin, and all things got to return to him. But he has been here so long that time has erased his beginning. Right. So we don't refer to the original man or the black man as a race. But for the sake of agreement, if that is what you're calling a race, and race happen to be broken up now in color. Is that right? Now that didn't start with us. We didn't have to concern ourselves with color. We always have been what we are, original people, and the original people have always been black or dark. That was not our problem. It became a problem when a new man got here and found people of color here, and he had none. Then he had to make up a rationale for his own color to make you inferior in yours. Now that he has done his dirty work, he don't want you to focus on your color. And I'm telling you, brother, I don't know who it was that said it, but I'm talking to you. When you say we don't want to deal with black, brother, I want you to think about what you say. Black has become an issue today. Not because you and I made it an issue, they made it an issue. And because they see it's a banner around which like things can unite, they don't want you to have unity among yourself. So you are now condemning blackness. You're wrong, brother. Don't do that. Hell no. How can you condemn what you are? Does that make sense? Well, I ain't black. I'm an African. When did you become an African, and how long have you been black? Talk that to me. Oh, we got to deal with it. We're going to have to deal with it. Did you know that the continent Africa was named by two European explorers, one a conqueror, one an explorer, by the name Africanus? So if you say I'm an Afro-American, how long have you known the name Africa, and how long has the continent been called America, and who named them both? And were you not here before the white man named that continent Africa and this one America? As long as we let him now decide the terms that we're going to deal with. See, he don't like you to discuss black now, because he sees in it. If you start talking about it, it'll lead you into biology. It'll lead you into mathematics. It'll lead you into genetics. It will lead you into the fact that inherently you are the producer of all the other peoples of the world, and none of them have the genetic ability to produce you. They don't want you to discuss that. Hell no. But today you can't hide in your intellectual madness. We come to expose you. Great. Let's deal with it. Well, why should we think about color? Aren't we all the same? Why the hell do you want to make us all the same now? Come on. What have you discovered now that you want us all to be the same? What do you see coming that you want us all now to say we're the same? There are similarities, but similarities is not sameness. There are things that all human beings have in common, but there are things that also make us unique. And if we are not going to have the intellectual bravery to look at our uniqueness that sets us apart from other people, then you fall for the madness, the intellectual crap that they want to wipe over you, the intellectual dung that they want to baptize you in. Aren't we all God's children? Hell no. You come to that realization when you want to put a game down. You say, we're all from one God, aren't we? Well, why the hell didn't you get your brother and do to him what you did to us if we're all the same? No, you don't talk to us like that. There's intelligence growing among us today, and you have to come a little deeper than that. Let's move on. Racism. There's that eraser. The eraser is on the way. Now, a man says they love to call Muslims who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad racist. I'm going to explain. Oh, they talk all that black stuff. They're racist. Oh, hush. Let's be intelligent and deal with words and their meaning. Racist. The suffix tells us the degree of dedication, devotion, commitment of the person involved to the main body of that word. For instance, I play the violin, give my life to it, dedicate myself to it, become a virtuoso at it. You call me what? Violinist. Play the piano, and I'm good at it. Devote 8-9 hours a day to it. You call me what? Pianist. I give my life to art. Devote my time to it. You call me an artist. If I give my life to my people for their advantage in the world, to bring them up from where they are, you call me what? A racist. Now, if there's positive and negative in everything, is there not positive and negative in what you call racism? Let's deal with it. I'll wait on you, brother. One more to go. Brothers and sisters, you got a few more minutes? You got some classes this afternoon? We can adjourn them, you know. Not this, we can adjourn the other classes. Look, brothers and sisters, the all-wise Creator puts it in the nature of all things instinctively to be with and feel comfortable among their own kind. That's not negative racism. That's the nature in which things are created. Go on out and farm if you want to. You don't have peas and corn and tomatoes and whatnot all together, mixed up. Put the peas together, put the squash together, put the tomatoes together, put the asparagus together. What do they have in common? They're growing out of one earth, and they're all sharing a common water, but each of them are growing in accord with the nature and characteristics of themselves. Is that right? That's right. Okay. Now, you find this in the family of the lower life, and as you move to the human being, you find it in the family of man, that people feel comfortable in and among their own. That's not bad. You go to China today, you don't find Indians in the government. They have friendly relations with Indians, but they don't want Indians in the Chinese government. You go to Japan today, as close as the Chinese and the Japanese look, you don't find no Japanese in the Chinese government or vice versa. Go to Korea. They all look like the same family to me, but they know how to make the distinction. And they feel comfortable among their own. Is that right? Now that doesn't mean we shouldn't have interrelationships, but home is your base, and you feel more comfortable in your own home, in your own cultural roots. Huh? That give you your sameness. You that are Mexican, though we are all here together, you feel comfortable with your own people. You that are Italian, tell me the truth. Mr. Scavinelli, do you feel at home even though you at the boogie with black folk? You may learn to walk and talk the talk, but when it's all over, you want to hurry back. Your own people. So we're going to deal with facts now. Even among whites, Jews, go look at them in Skokie. They're there together. The Jews congregate together, don't they? Is that racism? No, sir. That's a natural instinct of the human being. This does not mean that they don't have tolerance for other human beings, but they're comfortable in their own culture, among their own people who share common things. All right. When does this kind of natural thing become wicked, evil, against the natural and divine law? If you or I, in our desire to be with one another, begin to impose our way on somebody else, then rob them of the freedom to express their culture, their way, then our natural inclination to self becomes wicked, because now that inclination is depriving others of their right to breathe free in the same sun that shines on us. If you look at all this universe, they got 9 planets out there in our solar system. Each of them have a different color, and they each have a sphere or an orbit, but they're all in this solar system and a sign. There's a lesson to be learned in that. There's nothing wrong with the black man of what is called Africa mastering his own land. Is there? There's nothing wrong with Europeans mastering their own destiny, Chinese and Japanese mastering their own destiny, but when a European comes out of Europe and it comes on into our natural habitat and destroys our way of life and imposes on us his way, his religion, his God, in the name of civilizing us, then that's not racism. That's downright wickedness. And that is what we have to challenge today. Now look, whether you like it or not, brothers and sisters, history shows us that the Caucasian people feel it innately that they are superior to darker people. They don't want to submit. Even if you're right, you're wrong. So that's bad. That's sick. Here's a pen. I think it weighs a little more than its chalk. The pen is blue, but the chalk is white. When I drop these two, which one is going to hit the ground the quickest? They're going to hit at the same time? How many say that this heavier one will hit first? In your hand, they're different. In your hand, their density is different. Their color is different. But when you put them in a law, the law renders them all equal. And there is where the thing is, brother. This is how you can find. This is how you can determine the wickedness of the people. If we establish a law and we say because you are white, you are favored, and because you are non-white, you are not favored. The law tilts, and that's not racism. That's wickedness. That's diabolical. And it earns you exactly what is happening on this earth today, the hatred of men and nations, because you were unjust. Not because of the color of your skin. That ain't got nothing to do with it. But because you are unjust in your dealings with others, that you deny others the rights that you want for yourself. That's not racism. That's diabolical wickedness. And it is that has been superimposed on man's natural desire to be with his own kind. Now we have to make that delineation and that discrimination. I want to be with you. We need to be with one another. That's not racism. That's not evil. That's a natural inclination among us. Because if we're not strong among ourselves, we cannot be effective in our dealings with others than our own self. Is that right? Okay, now. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has said to us that this is not learned behavior on the part of the Caucasian. This is something instinctively a part of his very nature. And because it's in the nature of him, it manifests itself in all his institutions. His institutions bear witness of his wicked bent, that he don't want no justice, no equity, no truth, if that truth will make him have to walk equal or maybe a little less than a person of color. Now let's deal with it. Institutional racism. If that is in the nature of the man, you can't change that. Brothers and sisters, his institutions weren't set up to make you equal. He didn't set up this institution to make it relevant to what you want. You got to understand that. You don't come here with that crazy notion, well, we are all the same, and as long as we sit together in the same classroom and get the same instructions, it's going to be all right. No, brother and sister. You're being socialized to accept norms, attitudes, folkways, mores, philosophy, overt and subliminal, that is diametrically opposed to your own liberation. I'm almost finished. Just bear with me a few more minutes. If the germ of this wickedness and this desire to overlord oneself over other people is in the nature of the man, then history will show it constantly manifesting itself in every stage of their development. You see the same pattern over and over and over again. So that's telling you, if a man makes the same track, whether it's 3000 BC or 2000 AD, then it's not something learned. It's something that comes right out of the very nature and fiber of the being of that man. And until you're able to master his nature, you can't make these institutions do nothing for you. That's right. Now here it is. No, don't need a lot of applause. You just want to think. Because the brother said we don't want no rhetoric. We want to get something concrete that we can utilize. Bear with me a few more minutes, please. Brothers and sisters, the spiritual power that is in religion is a tool that those who are wickedly racist have used to build themselves and to destroy us. Innately, all of us believe in a supreme being. Innately, naturally. You don't have to be taught. It's in your nature. It's in your nature to make a supplication to that divine being. It's in your nature to give you. It's in your nature to struggle against the weakness of your own self. That's a part of you. Now look. Here's a man that understands what religion is for. Religion isn't set up for man to worship religion. Religion is given to man as a tool. Brother, you don't worship your hammer, you use it. You don't worship your scalpel doctor, you use it. You don't worship religion, you use it. What is religion for? Religion is to help man develop his spiritual powers. It is to help man become a master of himself and a master of the forces in himself and outside of himself, that he, man, charts his own destiny and is not subject to other forces, but becomes the master of those forces through the proper application of religion. Caucasians understand this. They're not crazy, but they can't help themselves. They had to use religion to go after their political, economic purposes. When who was that man in Rome that had the vision of the cross? And he saw these words under it, in hoc signo vinces, in this sign we conquer. What was that man's name? Alexander? No. The man who made Christianity the religion of Rome. That's all right, we'll get it. The point is, they took religion, pure teaching of Jesus. Jesus had egalitarian values. Jesus didn't teach racism. He taught a law that rendered men equal under law. That's the only thing you can hope for in life, is that all of us will be equal under the law, because there's no two things that God created that's exactly alike. Brother and sister, you got to recognize reality, that there is inferior and superior in everything. But when there is inequity under law to force superiority and to bring about inferiority, that is a travesty of justice. Hear me now. Brother said he was an athlete at one time. Look at his size, his frame, his strength. We are both men, but he's bigger than I am. He weighs more than I do. He's stronger than I am physically. So can you say that I'm his equal? Not in physical strength, not in size, but I am his equal in this. It took his mother 9 months to bring him forth, and it took my mama 9 months to bring me forth. And he was born into the world knowing nothing, and I was born into the world knowing nothing. And as sure as the law of birth rendered us equal, the law of death shall also render us equal. You understand, brothers and sisters? So it is law and its application that makes men equal, but no two things are exactly alike. And that's why you enjoy going to a track meet, because somebody's going to be better than the next. You enjoy the basketball court because somebody's going to be able to shoot better than the next. We enjoy Muhammad Ali in his prime because somebody is going to be able to do it better than all the rest. That's the nature of God. But because we do it better, our particular gift, that does not make us superior. You understand? It means that in this particular function, I'm better. But now if you walk around, listen, puffed up, because you can sing better than this brother, or you can play the trumpet better than that brother, or you got an A in your math test and this one got a D, and you walk around like this, then that trial of God's gift to you becomes now a noose around your neck, because humanly you are not able to deal with your own superior position. And because you're not able to deal with it with humility and understand that the giver of gifts made one shine brighter than the other, but the giver is the shiniest and the brightest of all, then you're not able to handle your gift, and your gift strangles you, and people hate you because you strut and you act like a peacock and you bray like an ass and you are really an idiot. And so you lose your gift and you lose your power because you don't know how to handle the gift of God that makes one brother or sister brighter than the next. Look at the constellations out there at night. One star in that constellation is brighter than all the rest. But you're not going to know its brightness if it were out there by itself. It's the beauty of the constellation, isn't it? Can all of us be the same in physics and mathematics and history, in talents and gifts? No. Some of you are going to outshine others. Some nations are going to be greater than others. Some men are going to be greater than others. But the law under which we evolve to our ultimate in development must be equal. If the law is not equal, then the diabolical wickedness of man has rendered him unfit to hold his superior position. White people, Caucasians, have been a wicked example on this earth. I'm not throwing no stone at you. I'm just telling it like it is, because there's a little time left and you may be able to do something to spare your life, because this is the day that as a man soweth, so shall he reap. Nobody will get away today. Talking about institutional racism, right? In religion. God, they say, is a spirit. All right. Spirit means the energy of life. There is no scholar or scientist who has ever studied matter and the nature of matter, and energy and the nature of energy, that can separate energy from matter. Now I'm talking to you physicists. I'm going to say that again. There is no scholar or scientist who has studied the properties and nature of matter and the property and nature of energy who has ever separated energy from matter. So what are you saying? The moment you say God is a spirit, put him out there in space, then you say he created man. So something that has no form created and gave form. Something that is not material created matter. Something that is only energy created matter, while no matter can be separated from energy. energy. If you go right down to the tiniest particle, even though it's not seen with the physical eye, they have dropped matter from the atom to the neutron, to the electron, to the proton, and they got another thing that they call today, that they've broken matter down even finer than that, and they find that energy is still in it. They haven't been able to separate energy from matter yet. But we put God outside of man and leave man with no example to strive toward excellence. Now, just bear with me. We'll show you how our nature is used to destroy us. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the Caucasian knows that God has been sending prophets to represent him. From Abraham and Adam all the way up to Muhammad, prophets have been coming into the world representing God. Some of those prophets said they heard God's voice. Now, if he got a voice, how did they hear his voice? They said they heard his voice in their ear. How did he communicate to them? If he is just energy, how did he do it? Now look, brothers and sisters, one thing you have to give the Caucasian credit for, he does not let religion be a panacea for ignorance. See, we use God as the answer for our ignorance. What God does? Yes, the thunder out there, it's God talking. Yes. What else is it? Oh, rain? Oh, yes, God does it. You're right. But white folks say, how does God do it? And if God does it, if I find out how he does it, then maybe I can do it too. Now, he's not crazy. He understands that these are laws. And he understands that man has the capability of mastering those laws. Now, when it comes down to Jesus, even though Jesus' mother and Jesus were called Aboriginal Egyptians, Jesus is painted now as what? Or Caucasian, with blonde hair, blue eyes. They don't have no snapshots of Jesus because they didn't have cameras back there. But their artists paint him in their image. All right. But that now, impose that on the black man in Africa. Impose that on Chinese. Impose that on you. And what do you have? You got institutional racism. Right in religion, they got you now subconsciously lifting the Caucasian up as the king in your life. They say Jesus is king. Right on, King Jesus. What does he look like? He looks like the same man that's been riding on. And you want to tell him, keep on riding, King Jesus. I'm not making no mockery because we believe in Jesus. But we want to show you how racism has crept into religion. Go read the Bible and see how whites can justify keeping you out of everything by your blackness. Is that right? Well, we don't need to go too far in that. But brother and sister, when you understand religion, you'll see that you have never been able to use it to become a self-master or master of anything else. Religion has mastered you and your parents before you, and all we could do is get in the church and sing and shout and go back to conditions that remain the same one generation right after another. That's not true religion. That is racism in religion that allows white folks to master you by your belief in God and Jesus. That's right. Wake up, brother. Master you by your belief in God. Then take a good man's name and then put principles under his name that you accept but don't know how to live. For instance, And Jesus said, love your enemy. I mean, that's a heavy thing, brother. If that's not explained, God has never loved his enemy. God moves to get rid of all his enemies and promise he's going to get rid of all of them. But you got to do what God can't do. You got to love yours. That's pitiful, brother. But Jesus said it, so you try and do it. See how they use religion? Remember now, be submissive. Be humble, for the meek shall inherit the earth. And then they tell you that the earth is in the sky. They got you so confused that you're not trying to inherit the earth. You want to die and get up into glory. But white folks know that death settles it all, because nobody has been able to come back from the grave to tell you how sweet it is on the other side. Now, my Mexican, Puerto Rican, and black American brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, when they got you and I to swallow their religion, we never have been able to become productive. Check it out. Everybody that's under this religion ain't productive. Even the Muslims. You are non-productive because religion has lost its true essence since the time of Prophet Muhammad. You're sitting over there, Arabs sitting over there under all of that knowledge in the Holy Quran, all of that oil in the ground, and somebody else is walking all over there. You talk about the brother's religion in Africa. No, man. If your religion is hip, you are a master of yourself and your destiny. You don't tell me, well, we got our ancient religion. What are you doing with it? Well, we're dancing. You know what I mean? We're doing this, we're doing that. And another man is in your house, mastering your house, but you got the right religion. Another man is taking all the value out of your land, taking it out to somewhere else, and you get nothing for it. But you got the right religion. You've been tricked through religion. And that's why the socialists and the Marxists, in their position, saying that religion is the opiate of the people, have a correct posture, but not true religion. True religion has never been the opiate of the people, but it's the twisting of the elements of true religion. Just like you take a grape from the grape vine and you eat it, that grape in its natural form gives you energy. Invert the ingredients in that grape, you get alcohol. And the same thing that made you energized when one state or condition can make you drunk in another. And most of the people of the world are religiously drunk. All right, bear with me just about 10 more minutes. Now let's come to education. Everybody all right? I had to deal with religion first. Oh, that's the thing. Now let's look at this word. Education. Do you know what it means, brothers and sisters? This word, this part of the word, the main body of it, comes from a Latin root, ducere, which means to leave. E means out or out from. When a person is educated, they're what? Laid out. From what? Darkness into light. From ignorance into knowledge. From weakness into strength. But more importantly, brother and sister, when we are properly educated, please, Henry, please, do you realize that you are from the earth physically? And the earth has in it every treasure that would enable man to build the most fabulous existence on the earth if he knows what is in the earth and can mine it out and put it into his service. Do you know that everything we need to exist as a free and independent people ain't outside of you, it's right inside of you. But it is education, proper education, that acts as a technology to mine out of the human soul what is buried there so that we can utilize it for ourselves and others. And that is what education is all about. Now, the Western philosophers of education, they develop an educational system that brings out of Caucasians what is in them for their glory and their good. But that same system acts reverse on the black man. Every black man that comes into their system just about goes out an undeveloped seed. He's still trying to find himself or herself. You're a doctor, Dr. Johnson. Isn't that something? And you out there calling people, you better call me doctor. No, you better call a doctor, because you are sick, doctor. Look here. How can you be a doctor and a faggot at the same time? There's no way in the world that you could be educated and you are intellectually developed and morally depraved. Don't you know education develops the whole person? Yeah, it's working. You with me? Okay. Brothers and sisters, education doesn't develop your intellect and leave your character development out. Education doesn't develop your intellect and leave your spiritual development out. Education develops the whole individual. Their philosophers develop their educational system to lead out of them what is best in them. And they have special schools for their elite. Is that right? The Kennedy boys, they didn't go to the same schools that everybody else went to. They went to Harvard, but then they went to those special little schools where special little courses are taught so that they could become very special, because it is only knowledge that evolves man to higher levels of development. All right, now we've come to you and me. Have you noticed that when you get education in their system, you do not desire to serve, you want to be served? Have you noticed that? Notice the arrogance of professors, generally speaking. Notice the arrogance of those who claim to know. Look at their posture. You can almost read that proud look. What can I do for you? Sitting in the classroom, half talking, moving their lips, words that long, trying to impress you that they know something that they really don't know, instead of communicating what they do know so that you could know what they know. Look at these places. Don't you know that when you see a civilization dying, it is first reflected in education? Because education is the torchlight of civilization. And the reason that America is falling is because her educational system is stagnant. It is not evolving as it should. Everything that is living is evolving and changing and moving toward an ultimate destiny. How come you're studying the same methods today that they studied 100 years ago? And you know, if you're doing your practice teaching and you go out with the methods that they teach you in your methods courses, every one of them are of no value. Am I telling a lie? You studying Freud, right? And Jung and others, Tell me, how does that psychology equip you to go out there and deal with the minds that you got to deal with out there today? Those minds are evolving, and your education has stood still. You don't really have an education, you have a change. This kind of education don't teach you to think. This kind of education teaches you to quote. So you quote Plato, Socrates, Nietzsche, Machiavelli. But do you know how to apply the principles of that philosophy in your life? No. Not in any school that's under his tutelage. You have to have a root, brother, in yourself in order to get anything out of what he's given you and use it for yourself. This is a playground. And you come here in the name of education, and what are you doing? You playing. Where's the party? Who got the dough? Hey, baby, where's the disco tonight? Your mind isn't serious. They couldn't care less whether you get an education or not. Their purpose is not to educate you here. And I think a sister before told me that there was a classroom, and she asked this professor about black education, and the professor told her, we're not dealing with that here. Let's move on. You know. What is she telling you? Look, excuse me, nigga. The cake is already baked. And if you were left out of the ingredients, we're not even going to plaster you over the top. Just eat what we got. You understand? All right. Now, how do you make these institutions relevant to you? First, brother and sister, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we got to have a knowledge of ourselves. Once you know yourself and your history, you can come into these institutions and you can see the racism, see the wickedness, and let it go by and capture the meat and inculcate the meat into your processes of thought, and then move out from this institution and use that knowledge to build your own. But if you come here with no root in yourself, you become like a spiritual and mental pig. You do not know, excuse me, I don't mean no disrespect, but a hog doesn't have any digestive system. Everything that it eats is in the gut and becomes a part of it because it's not discriminating. And when you come here with no self-knowledge, you are not a discriminating individual, so everything they pour on you, you take it. So their whole system is geared to pour on you. And when they finish pouring on you, they socialize you right into their way. So you come out. Yes, I've just got my degree. And now I'm going to IBM. Do you have a job for me? IT&T, do you have a job for me? See, you're not qualified to do nothing with it for yourself. Because the whole aim of the education is to make you subservient subliminally. So racism is right here in the educational system. Now look, professor, if you really want to make this school right, which you don't, but I'm just saying if you did, you would teach your students that Hippocrates wasn't the father of medicine. Yes, you would teach your students that Socrates and Plato, they weren't the father of philosophy. You know where you got it from, white folks. You would be honest with your students, and then they would respect these who are the children of those who taught your fathers. But no, you want to show the world that there was no study of microbes until you developed a microscope. That's BS. You just a Johnny-come-lately on our planet. The Bible said there's nothing new under the sun, and that is right. There is nothing new under the sun. You are just now discovering what ancient people knew for tens of thousands of years. Well, why weren't they using it? It was your time to rule. So the original family went to sleep in order for you to rule. You couldn't rule us awake. No more than a child can rule the house when you're awake. But as long as you're asleep, the child can run the house. White folk, intellectually and spiritually speaking, are like grown-up children parading their little rockets, looking at their little weaponry. Like big children, degenerate children, technologically profound, morally and spiritually a beast. So how in the hell can we trust your leadership when you've gone to the top of the mountain as a technological giant, but you've gone under the valley in morals and in ethics, where your word don't mean nothing? I don't know how Sadat could trust Congress. Your word didn't mean nothing to the Shah of Iran. Your word didn't mean anything to the people on Taiwan. Your word didn't mean anything to our fathers when you promised them 40 acres and a mule. Your word don't mean a damn thing to nobody on this earth. I don't know why Sadat would be fool enough to trust the word of Jimmy Carter and the United States government when they have always been known to do whatever is expedient, not what is right. No, I got to tell it whether you like it or not. This is a racist educational system that is wicked because it refuses to recognize that you had anything to do with the forming and the development of civilization. And that is a lie. And that lie has you walking around here thinking inferior, and naturally as a man thinketh, so is he. You think inferior religiously, you think inferior educationally, naturally you think inferior politically, and you've never been really taught business. Now I'm going to conclude. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us that there were three things when Howard University was set up in Washington, D.C., that the United States government said that they would never teach black people. Number one, the science of business. Number one, the science of business. Don't you know when you know the science of business, you have the science of life itself? You, in your little business administration course, brother, your little accounting that you got, oh, please. You're going to come out of here just as dumb as a businessman as when you came here, because they are not taking you to the root of that. They reserve that for themselves and their people. All your bad talk, ain't no blacks on the stock exchange. If there is, he's one or two and means nothing. When it comes to cutting the real pie in this country, you're never there. And they don't intend for you ever to be there. You got black folk right now in IBM, IT&T, and they're nothing but modern house niggers that are kept by the master. Their brains is used by the master, and all they can get out of it is a Mercedes-Benz and a home in the valley. But their people get no freedom, no justice, no equality, no economic development from their know-how from these universities. Can't you see, brother and sister? You are the victim of the most damaging kind of wickedness in the educational system. He said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that the second thing they would never teach you is the science of warfare. Because whatever you build, you have to know how to protect. And the third thing that they would never teach you is the science of mating. Mating? What do you mean, mating? See, don't you know there's a science to everything? People don't just get married haphazardly when they have knowledge. They just run out and see somebody walking down the street in a miniskirt, and they say, wow, that's it for me. Or she sees a dude and he's cute, and she said, there he is, that's my man. Oh, brother and sister, that's awful. But we are so great as a people that that's the way we make our choices and still come up with greatness. You know we are great people? You know we are really great? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, just like you breed a thoroughbred in dogs and in horses, you can actually breed that in human beings if you know how the process is carried out. They understand that, but they don't want you to understand that. Because intelligent Caucasians understand that the answer to all your needs is coming from the womb of some insignificant woman that you're walking over today. She's producing a child that is the answer to your prayers. Brother and sister, as I conclude this talk, I want to say, beloved professors, teachers, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us that this whole world is coming down. When a world falls, its institutions fall. Because they are the support system of the world. And if the world is diabolical, then the systems are diabolical, because the man that produced that world is diabolical. So that means that the religions of the world are going to be done away with. The educational systems that foster this madness in the world, they're coming down. The political systems are coming down. The economic system, coming down. The scripture said, behold, I make all things new. So what are you going to be like if we got to come up with something new? And he has embedded his mind in us, so all we can do is function from his mind. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said a black man must be given a new mind. And the first government that you must overthrow is not Washington. The first government you must overthrow is that sick government that rules your brain. That government that got you following Jim Jones. You say, I ain't no follower of Jim Jones. Yes, you are. Because you're committing suicide right now. If you smoke it, you're suicidal. You got it? I'm going to say it again. If you're smoking, you're suicidal. Even though the government is warning you that it may be, no, it is hazardous to your health, you continue to drag on. Is that right? Slow death, but death right on, suicide. You killing yourself. How about that reefer you got? Come on, let's talk about it. Oh, you say, I need this reefer. It's helping me to think. I know. Oh, you're so pitiful, brother. You rationalize everything. Even crime, you can rationalize it. Have you wondered why, brothers, that your minds are 15 to 20 years behind the development of your women? They have done a study today that shows that when black females finish high school, they are sometimes 15 to 20 years ahead of the young men. She comes into college and meets you on a higher level, and you still thinking like a little boy. Am I lying, sisters? No. But this is the end of the talk, so brothers and sisters, our women cannot be secured psychologically, emotionally, and intellectually by what America is developing in the black male. The only thing you can do for a woman is sexual, And the Caucasian is developing instruments that she can use so she don't need you no more. She's turning into a lesbian because there's no damn men around. She's turning into a lesbian because you want to be a damn woman instead of a man. You don't want to stand up, hold on to your responsibilities as a man. And the responsibility of a man is to secure the future of his people. The responsibility of a man is to build the institution that his people need, not sit around begging white people to build you an institution. While you take 70 to 80 billion dollars out of this economy, you are the ninth richest people on the earth, but you're in a begging line because you produce nothing that you consume. If the white man didn't sell you toilet paper, you'd have to use your fingers if you didn't have leaves. And you want to be respected as an equal? Who can respect you as an equal and you're a bum and a beggar with a pocket full of degrees asking the white man to do for you what a bird does for itself? A bird built its own nest. A spider spin its own web. An ant built its own society, but you, intellectual, learned black man, out here begging the white man to build schools for you. He ought to throw your damn behind in the street and tell you, no. No. Hell no, that's not his responsibility. That's your responsibility. Well, I'm an American. Shut up. You have never been an American since you've been here. You're lying to yourself. My country, 'tis of thee. When the hell did America become your country? How has she been your country? She uses you like a damn tool in wartime, in tax time. But when it's time to give justice, there is no justice for you. Vigilantes patrol this damn county, shooting down black folk like dogs. But you're an American. The Supreme Court don't give a damn about you. That's why Blackie came down and Weber is on the way. But you're an American. Proposition 13 in California said, we don't want to take care of no more niggas and their babies. But you're an American. But look here, white folks. You're the one that caused this black man to breed this black woman during slavery. You made him breed black babies, but you didn't let him take care of them. And as a man soweth, so shall he reap. Now you don't want to take care of the responsibility of your own crap. Now, brother, since I'm coming right home to you, I talked on the white man, and what I said of him is true, but hell, I can't stop there because the sword of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is a two-edged sword. It cut both black and white with truth and justice. Now, the white man said you were free 100 years ago, and you laid around here like a damn puppy dog begging the white man to make a job for you because he didn't teach you how to make one for yourself. So if he tell you today, I ain't got no more jobs, Sam, well, the leaders say, well, we're going to get ready and we're going to march. Listen to how stupid our leadership is. We're going to march on Washington to see if they will give us more jobs. The president told Coretta King and that whole black group that came there, look, inflation is our number one problem. I'm sorry, we cannot deal with the unemployment situation just yet. We have to cure inflation and then go over there to Israel, damn it, and spend over $5 billion because don't nobody give a damn. Damn it, and spend over $5 billion because don't nobody give a damn about you. Now, what is your response? Do you care enough about yourself to do something for yourself? Or will you forever be a damn bum and a beggar laying at the foot of the white man begging him to do for you what you should be qualified now to do for yourself? And that's the value of Elijah Muhammad, because he was not a man begging white people. He was asking you to take up your own responsibility. Hold on. But you running around here under Marxist banners. No, brother, look beneath that banner and you may find nothing but a cheap, integrationist white woman chaser who is parroting an integrationist philosophy with Marxism on it. How in the hell can you be a Marxist and no place to practice your theory? Hear me good. How can you ever develop your skill in being a pianist if you don't have a piano? So you can study the theory, but nobody will permit you the freedom to practice. So you don't know whether your theory will work or not. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad called to you for 40 years. Black man, get up and do something for yourself. And you laughed at him. I don't agree, Professor. If we are allowed to come into school and we can extract, fine. But good God Almighty, what about the tens of thousands of young black children who are coming up under a system that killed us and our fathers and is killing another generation because we are too lazy to say, look, America, we tried your integration plan. And ever since the 1954 Supreme Court decision of Brown versus the school board of Topeka, Kansas, where desegregation in the public school system was struck down, according to Walter Cronkite, 42% of every black child that was graduated from high school since then are now functional illiterates. And if they say it's 42%, it must be 84%. You mean to tell me a man developed technology to send something out in space to give you pictures of Mars and Jupiter on the way to Uranus? And with all that technology, he has not upgraded the methodology to teach you how to read, and you're here in college and can't read and can't write. You cannot write. You know what I'm talking about. If they ask you to write a paper, you don't know what the hell to do, but you're a college student. No, brother, you ain't no damn college student. You're not a college student. You're a joke. We're not playing. White folks ain't playing. Their world is coming down. They got to decide what to do with this nigga because they don't have no more jobs for you. You sitting around here with a damn dope in your arm and a reaper in your damn foolish mouth talking about, well, it's all right, baby. Everything's going to get better. The hell it will. You better get up out of this foolishness that you're in. This is no time for us to play. Don't you see what the OPEC nations did? They upped the price of oil. And as they up the price of oil, that means gas going up. Everything else is going up because it takes oil to run every machine in America. And what does that mean? If there's runaway inflation, the dollar is falling. And if the dollar crashes and you have nothing. Brother, we lost over 5 million acres of land in the South in the last 10 years. You got parents in the South that got land. You won't even go and look after your grandparents. They're taking the land back on tax default, tricks and schemes. And you have nothing. You go and sell the land for a few damn lousy paper dollars so you can dress in alligator shoes and ride one of these damn fancy cars, gas guzzlers. But if you kept that land would produce some corn for you when you get hungry. That land will produce some wheat for you so you can make your daily bread. But no, you don't want to think like that. You want white folks to do it for you. Well, brother, I'm here to tell you as I conclude that when God starts lashing the white man as he is doing now, he's getting at you too. Because as long as the slave is in love with the wealth of the slave master, you'll always be a slave. And that's why you here sliding up next to him. You feel he got something that you need. Well, he does have something. He does have knowledge. And you can get it. But man, you taking the filth and the degeneracy right along with the knowledge. Now you having orgies. Now you, yes, brother, you, walking around here with your damn hair curled, all these high heel shoes, lace on. I mean, look at yourself. Every word is a mother this and a mother the other. When is the last time you had a bath? When is the, no, I'm serious. With all this hot water, all this soap, you funky. How in the hell can you be respected by anybody? A nasty, funky, unclean thing. No, black man, I'm not going to put it all on the white man because his day is over. Your day has begun, but you don't want to take up your responsibility, and that's going to get you there. Now, I'm at the end. Let me get this mic. I don't want to... Look here, brother and sister. If we're going to survive, we have to take up our responsibility. It's not theirs to build schools for you, it's ours. It's not theirs to build your hospitals, it's ours. 30 million people. We don't have doctors, we don't have nurses, and they're experimenting on us night and day in the hospitals, brother. They try out every new drug on you. The government working with mind-controlled drugs, dusting the reaper that comes in the community with angel dust. And you smoking and don't understand chemistry. You come to college, but you don't study chemistry, or you study it from a childlike level. You don't understand it, you are chemistry. Hear me now, brother. Come on, sister, listen. When you stand up here in this school and you heard Jesse Jackson say, I am somebody, strike off somebody and say, I am chemistry. Every element that's in the earth just about can be found in me. So if I want to preserve my life, I must know the chemistry of the earth and the chemistry of myself. And if I understand the chemistry of myself, I will not put nothing in my mouth or in my body that will violate that chemistry, because I am chemistry. But you smoking a weed and don't know the chemical effects of it. You're drinking wine and whiskey and you don't know the chemical effects of it. You're taking pills and you don't know the chemical effects of it. The white man said, look here, girl, I know you love this fruit. Here, take this pill. Go on, take the pill. I know my mouth is kind of, on a sharp plane, but hell, brother and sister, I can't pretty the thing up. The condition is ugly. The brother hit the point. All you got in your mind is sex. And the white man has disrobed our woman and made you a damn animal. He made his woman that first. You got to walk around with your breath out. No foundation. No, I'm not talking against you, sisters. We love you. Please don't think that I'm downing you. No. I just want you to see what's happening. You're walking around with no brassiere. And this thing they call it jiggle TV, and you just bouncing up in a poor man's face. And when a man see all that motion, these are scientists, they know the law of motion and the law of attraction, they understand that. So the minute you start shaking boobs in his face, the poor man's eyes just pop out. Poor man can't think about nothing constructive, you got him. And you wearing all these crazy, I know you don't like my language, I'm sorry. I don't mean no harm. But honest to God, I gotta put it where you can reach it. I'm not trying to be vulgar, but I'm trying to show you that you've been programmed into filth and degeneracy, and you've got to come up out of it. You've got to come up out of it. You got on these tight pants. I mean, tight ones, brother. People don't need a measuring stick no more. They can look and see. And you just happy to have that tight crap on. Sister, you got these pants so tight on you. You think white folks don't know what they're doing? Look here. They used to have the sisters with a V behind the neck. The messenger used to tell his followers, don't cut your hair in that breed. They said, well, that's nothing. That's the V cut, the style. But I'll be glad Muhammad saw something different. He saw them subliminally suggesting the crotch area using your hair. So you don't know the scientists of evil that you're dealing with. He got these kind of, what you call them things that they wear? Ponchos? What them things? Ponchos? They come in a point, don't they? Well, what is the natural line of your eye will follow the point. The point. That's the point. That's the point. You put on them tight pants, sister, and they're so tight that right in your private area there's a V. Am I lying? And where you think that man's eyes are before he greets you and says, good morning or hello, I'm glad to meet you. He got coats with buttons right here. Buttons on the butt. So that when you move, those buttons go up and down. So the man walking behind you, he got to follow the eye motion. So, brothers and sisters, can't you see you being drunk? Look at the songs, man. He got you. There you go. Finger popping. Now, he sings, you sing. Get down. Get down. Get down. In the bush. And look, oh no, I'm not playing. He's programming you. He's programming you to degeneracy. He's programming this funky. Let's get funky. And do the freaky deaky. Look at it. And here you are just freaking. You're out of your mind. And brother, you expect intelligent people to say, let's respect them as our equals. Let's let them in and treat them like we treat our own. They ain't crazy. They ain't gone that crazy yet. They program you into filth. And now look at the way you talk. Look at your language. You say, wanna drop by my crib, man? Hey, mother. Want to come by my crib? Hey, baby. See? Your language reflects where you at. You a baby. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. Why are you a baby? Because you can't change your own diaper. You crapped all over yourself and can't nobody clean you up, and you ain't got the power to clean yourself. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. Come on over to my crib. What you do in the crib, man? You lay there in the crib with your nasty, funky self, with your little play toys in there so that mama can keep on doing her work while you play in the crib. Come on over to my crib. See, white folks got you in a little crib called your ghetto, your neighborhood, your reservation. With your wine bottle, your cocaine, your naked woman, your prostitute, your hustling, your faggots, and all of that. It's to keep you playing games while white folks continue to rule the world. Hey, baby. Calling each other MS. You know why you use that name? Because every woman that you marry is not your wife. She's an extension of your mother. In real terms, she's an extension of your mother, but with black men, she's got to be a mother before she can be a wife. And ask your wife how difficult it is to see you grow up. I'm not talking against you, brother. Our sisters know what I'm saying is right. These women would be all right, brother, if you would straighten up. And I'll tell you what's wrong. In your education, there's no God. There's no divine in your education. And I'm telling you, when you take the God out of your education, you've taken the power out of it to bring the manliness out of a man. Your role is to come to God. And when you come to God and see the power and the strength and the wisdom that is in the divine Creator that pulls you up into God, where you begin to reflect His wisdom, His strength, His power, His omniscience. You begin to reflect His ability to secure, and then your woman can look at you and she becomes humble and sweet and kind and loving and tender, and then the glory that God created in her soul for you, you'll be able to extract it. But right now, she tell you, go to hell in a minute. Because you can't extract anything from her acting like children. So, brothers and sisters, I thank you. It's 3:30. I thank you. And I pray, Allah, that you will understand, brothers. Hold on, don't leave yet. That's all right with him. We're going to have a question and answer period in a minute. But brothers and sisters, I hope you will realize that the burden of ending the racism of others is not on Caucasian shoulders, it's not on the shoulders of Arabs, it's not on the shoulders of Jews, it's on you and my shoulders. And as long as we act like fools, the world will continue to think about black people as they have always thought in the last 4,000 years. Now remember, the Greeks never called your father a nigger because they learned too much from your fathers to think of them in those cheap terms. And if you will come up and stop talking about how beautiful your fathers were and start being like your fathers were, then the same Caucasian that call you nigger now will turn around and tip their hat and show you respect because you are worthy of it by your own development. So I pray, Allah, in the name of His messenger, that you and I will take up our responsibility. Quickly take your knowledge and go out from this institution and start building and creating jobs for yourself and your people. If war breaks out and the United States calls you to fight, I hope you'll be intelligent and tell them that your fathers fought, their fathers fought, and their fathers' fathers fought, and you still don't have justice. So I think I'll lay out of this one until you do better, so that my children won't have to face what I faced and what our fathers faced. The responsibility is on you. Will you take it? Thank you for listening as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. I have praise to this man up. Thank you. Thank you, brothers and sisters. We have a few minutes, and if there are those of you who would like to ask questions, you're welcome. I'll do my best to try and answer them. I see a few hands already. Those of you that have to leave, if you would leave as quickly and quietly as possible so that those who want to ask questions and hear their answers might do so. How many of you have a question you'd like to ask? I see one brother. I see two brothers. Is there a sister? I see three brothers. I see one sister. Okay. I see five. All right, we'll take these five and that's it. Yes, sir, brother. Brother, the question is, what can be done to develop a national program by national leadership to address itself to our problems very concretely? What I think we've learned, my dear brother, from the 60s is that most of our black leaders at that point were in constant ideological conflict with each other because we were all in the laboratory experimenting with our ideas. The 60s was very instructive for Ron Karenga. It was very instructive for Jesse Jackson. It was very instructive for those of us who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I think all of us have learned a tremendous lesson from going through the 60s. I just talked by telephone a few days ago with Stokely Carmichael, now known as wait a minute, Kwame Ture. Kwame Ture. That's Stokely Carmichael's African name. And I have talked with Jesse Jackson, and we have talked with Ron Karenga, and I think there's a general area of agreement. But we recognize that in this country, the denial objective of the United States government is they don't want to see black people organized. So we all don't have to be under the same banner. But if we recognize common objectives, just like you have 9 systems in this body, each system functions differently from the other, but they're all tied together by a nervous system and by a common objective to keep this one body alive. And that's the spirit that I see developing among national organizations and national leadership. That there is a move now, not necessarily to link up organizationally, but to hook up spiritually and to hook up strategically and to hook up a nervous system so that any pain that comes to one group is felt by another. Now, programmatically, how can we move? I have been, in recent months, talking to religious leaders who control millions of black people, asking these religious leaders if they would take the money from their organizations and begin to invest that money into land and institutions. The expertise is among us to do whatever we will. And what we lack here, brother, our brothers have in Africa. So we need to develop and strengthen our lines of communication with our brothers in Africa. $70 billion is an awful lot of money that we have. But we must put that money to good use. So, brother, I think that you will see in the 80s a program emerge of collective action. You are not going to see religious people arguing religion, but you're going to see people following principles that they all can agree on, even though their ideology may be different. So that is being worked on, brother, but it's not being worked on publicly. And I think one of the worst mistakes that we can make is to come out in meetings like this and discuss strategy. One of the worst things we can do is get in front of television and tell the world what's really happening. We've learned a lot from the 60s, and we're trying to profit by being more productive and less vocal. Okay? Thank you, brother. Yes, sir. His question is, we have a problem on this campus with apathy. What do we do to get people involved? First, the group that is committed must themselves get involved in productive effort. And the more the committed group gets involved in productive activity, pretty soon you begin to make waves among the apathetic and they begin to move. There has been no revolution pulled off by the many. It's the few who are committed who inspire the many. On this campus, which is a microcosm of what's going on in the street, the few that are committed must unite and pool their efforts and resources and do those things that will inspire movement in others. Have you ever seen, if you go to the water and you take a stone and you throw the stone in the water, you notice where the stone hits, then you have concentric circles moving out from the center. Once you make your displacement of water, meaning once you make a move to move something then it will have a resultant effect on other things. It may take you a while to see it happening, but if you make your move and don't get impatient, you'll see your people responding. Now to the president of the Black Student Union and to all of the young leaders, I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, that you've got to be patient with our people. They are the most trying of people when you're trying to do productive things. Your own people will be your worst enemy. And if you can't take what they put on you, they'll wear you down and kill your leadership dry. You must be strong enough to overcome their inertia by the power of your ability to move. One last point. The Caucasian has robbed this young generation of the will to struggle by robbing them of the history of those who struggle. Right in the face of those of us who came through the 60s. Many of the youngsters that are coming in here, if you ask them who is Malcolm, they don't know. They can quote a few things that they heard he said, but they really don't know. Ask them about Elijah Muhammad, they don't know. Ask them about Paul Robeson, they don't know. Well, if they don't know those who really struggle to get us where we are, how can they continue the struggle? Can you see what I'm saying? So it seems to me that one of the things that the students can do is constantly keep something happening that reinforces the history of struggle. Now, I don't know how many black students are on this campus. How many would you say are here? 3,000. 3,000 black students? 5,000. Okay, we had approximately 300, 250, 300 in here today. That's a start. Now what you got to do is come right behind it with solid programmatic thrusts to get people involved. Number one, you've got to involve yourself in the study of the theory. Brother said it earlier, that the men that came before us, they gave us marvelous theory. We are not the generation of theory, we're the generation of practice. But we have to know the theory in order to practice it. So we need to set up on this campus study discussion groups. Where after you get through your regular study, you gather around Chancellor Williams' book, Destruction of Black Civilization. You gather around Honorable Elijah Muhammad's book, Message to the Black Man. You gather around the book of Paul Robeson, Here I Stand. You gather around Ben Jacobin, John Henry Clark, Sheikh Anta Diop, Haki Madhubuti. You develop you a bibliography to study so that you can involve yourself in the theory. Then immediately, once you learn the theory, develop a practical arena for the application of it right here among the students. You need to keep movies coming in here. They've done some excellent documentaries on Paul Robeson. Excellent documentary on Marcus Garvey. You've got to make the students aware that they didn't get here because somebody laid down, somebody struggled. And when they see what others went through, then it dawns on them, wow, we got to keep this thing going. Now, you don't have to worry. There are some events that are going to take place in the world in the next 6 months to a year that are going to be earth-shaking. You know, when somebody is nuts, they take them into a place and they give them shock therapy. Well, there's nothing more shocking, you know, than an earthquake. Nothing more shocking than a tornado. I mean, the stuff that you're going to see go down will shock folk into the realization that they got to get up and be about doing something. So you got to have a lot of natural help in the environment and political help in the movement of black people in the world. So all you got to do is keep moving forward ahead, but don't let nobody kill your spirit. But you're going to be tried severely. Yes, sir. He wants to know if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the message to the black man, refers to the Caucasian as a grafted devil. Why do you use the term Caucasian? No, that's not your own. No. No, brother, that's not yourself. That's not yourself. That's a part of yourself, but that's not yourself. See, you have to make the distinction between the mule, the donkey, and the horse. One of them is grafted and is a cross between the other two, and it's not the same as what it's taken from. Neither is a grapefruit the same as an orange or a lemon, but it's taken from the grafting of the orange and the lemon. When Honorable Elijah Muhammad said Caucasian, he said that name Caucasian means that which is weak-blooded, weak-boned, and stale-faced, a grafted person. And you can't deny, brother, biologically, physiologically, or genetically, that pale skin. No, listen to what I'm saying, brother. You want to question and answer, then you don't want to listen. I'm not here to argue with you. Certainly you can write me. That's all right. That's all right. No. Brother, it's fine. Brother, it's fine. But listen, brother, let me say this to you. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that he is a grafted man, you should dig into that and study deeply those terms. Because that which is grafted from original is not original. Now, we don't have time to go into the depth of that here and now. But he said that the name Caucasian means weak-boned, weak-blooded, and stale-faced. Himself, but others. Well, his evil has affected himself, and it has affected us. Absolutely. All right, wa alaikum salam. Yes, sister. I can't answer for a man that I'm not following. See, I don't follow Wallace D. Muhammad. I'm following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the father. And no, I don't think it's necessary. I want you to know this, brothers and sisters. I think it's not good for us as black men, because we disagree with each other, to come out in a public place and my platform got to be downing somebody else. See, I think that's very infantile, and it's very immature, and it doesn't help to build a people who have had enough divisiveness, okay? Wallace D. Muhammad is not the real enemy. It's somebody bigger than he is that's the responsible culprit for all. And so what white folk do is they give us each other to fight, and then they stand back and allow us to kill each other off. And see, this is something that Brother Farrakhan doesn't, by the help of Allah, intend to engage in. I disagree with Wallace D. Muhammad philosophically, theologically, as well as politically. And they say, well, how do you state your difference? Just by listening to what I said tonight and listening to what he teaches and drawing your own conclusions, you can see that I'm a follower of the Father and not the Son. I don't have to say it, I just be it. You see? And I think, to my mind, in my position, that's the approach that I take. In fact, that's the approach that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave me to take. I never understood it, but he told me once. He said, brother, you do not have to condemn a dirty glass. Just set a clean glass up beside it. So you're wasting time condemning something else. Do the thing that you think is best. And if it is right, it will condemn the thing that is not best. Okay? Now, it was... Okay, now we've satisfied everybody? Yeah. Let me say this, brother. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad laid a very powerful foundation for us. I think it's foolhardy to move off of that foundation. Because whenever a foundation has been tried and tested and survived in the most hostile environment, you do not throw that away. So by the help of Allah, and those of us who love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we don't intend to change nothing that he taught. We don't intend to alter it at all. We can't add our ignorance to his wisdom. He was after developing us to search mentally every idea that comes to the ear before we permit it to enter the mind. But you got to practice physically to grow into the spiritual understanding of that exercise. No, we don't intend to change anything. And to those who say, well, look here, are we going to go back to that strict way of living? Brother, to deny divine law and righteousness is to deny the very access to success. We're going to be as strict as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to live, and if we can, we're going to be even more so because we don't have the umbrella of his protection by his presence. So we got to be more righteous than we ever were. So righteousness is still the hallmark of a Muslim. Yes, sir. Last question. Let me say this to you, brother. I hear you. I hear your very sincere desire. Now, brother, you also heard the messenger teach us that there would come a time when there would be a separation inside the nation. And he gave us many parables to teach us this. He said Allah will weed out his own kingdom in his own good time. Now the question comes today, whether or not Elijah Muhammad was correct. If he is correct, then my duty is to follow his guidance. If he was incorrect, my duty is to follow truth. Okay? Now the son of Elijah Muhammad has chosen to go a way that is directly opposite of the way of his father. Now, brother, see, listen, there are many factors that you don't understand, and I don't think that this is the time nor the place to go into it. But Wallace D. Muhammad and I have sat down on many occasions for the 2 years that I tried to help him. We sat down on many occasions, and every time that I disagreed with the way that he was going that seemed contrary to his father, I would sit down with him, never in the public. Never in the public. And he will tell you this. This is why when he wrote his appeal to me, he had to say in his appeal, I believe that the brother's heart is right. Because every time I disagreed with him, I didn't go behind his back. I went right to him and told him, look, brother, such and such and so and so. This is what I see. Now, if I disagree with him, I cannot walk hypocritically with him and say I'm with him when I'm not. He asked me to go back to New York. He offered me Chicago, Los Angeles, Cleveland, and Detroit. 5 cities, but he preferred me to go to New York. I told him, brother, the only way I could go is if we could reconcile our differences. And I can't go as long as we disagree. Because if you looked at me in the masjid and saw me standing up there preaching, that says to you that I'm in complete agreement with the leadership. And if I'm not in agreement with the leadership, I don't belong in that house faking it with those who may be faking it. So I chose to tell him that I disagree. I disagree with what you're doing. I disagree with the way you're going. I don't want to create a problem for you nor for myself. I love your father, and I hate to see your father slandered. I talked to him about this from December 1975 straight on through. In fact, in August, before I left for Africa, we had conversations just like this. I was a very open man to him. But I choose, brother, to follow the Father, but I don't choose to be involved in mudslinging and slander. And if you read the Holy Quran, it says Allah is sufficient as a judge over the Muslims in that in which they differ. Hold on. So if I differ from him, I'm going on and do the work as I see it best and leave it to Allah to judge. All right? But you can't mix oil and water, brother. And you can't mix hypocrisy and belief. You can't mix slander and truth. You can't mix wickedness and righteousness. And you can't mix the pledge of allegiance to America with the pledge of allegiance to Allah. You can't mix them two. Because America is the wickedest damn country that has ever been on the earth. And if you can pledge allegiance to her, then you have not pledged allegiance to Allah. Your words to Allah are empty because this Quran condemns everything that America is about. I can't do that, brother. And I asked him why he was doing it. I can't do it. That's not the way the messenger trained me. So it's better for me to go on about my business. Your job is to do what? My job, brother, is to be a reminder to you of the messenger. Oh, well, that's natural. That's natural, brother. If I'm a reminder to you, your leader, if that is your leader, he knows what I'm doing. He hears my voice on the radio. He reads the columns that I write. Brother, please, I don't think we should go any further in this. I'm not in agreement with him, and I can't walk with him until agreement is made. That's natural, brother. And it's your lack of, I think, understanding of the time in the scriptures. You know, brother, we just at that time now. Look at the scripture, brother. It says, two will be laying in the bed. He would take one and leave one. Two will be grinding at the mill. He would take one and he will leave one. And they of a man's own household will be his worst enemies. God is not coming to bring people together if their spirit and heart and mind is for opposite things. You can't unite North and South Vietnam if South Vietnam is going to be capitalist and North Vietnam is going to be socialist. They got to be ideologically together in order to unite. And even among Muslims, the Ayatollah Khomeini that just came to power in Iran, he's a Shiite Muslim. He don't agree with the Sunni Muslims. Yeah, but they all recognize each other as Muslims. I recognize any brother who bears witness to this Quran and Prophet Muhammad as a Muslim. Unfortunately, we are called disbelievers if we believe in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what he taught us. I'll take that. I'll be a disbeliever to all the Muslims in the world because I believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was right for the black man, right for us, and right for the world if the world would dig deep enough to understand it. So the problem is not between me and Wallace D. Muhammad. The problem is between Wallace D. Muhammad and his father. And that's the separation. I choose to be with his father. And if Wallace was true to his father, every one of those who fell away from him would be right with him now. But he started off, brother, talking good about his father, and then the minute he got firm in the seat, he began slandering the very man that put under him everything that he had. And that, to me, I couldn't countenance. I'm telling you, brother, I couldn't go along with it because many of these brothers and sisters was holding on to the messenger as an example of righteousness like a thread, that's frayed. And when Wallace D. Muhammad made us to believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tricked us, that he deceived us, that he was an unrighteous man, then many of these brothers went right back in the street, back to dope, back, and many of them right now in insane asylums because they couldn't handle what he was saying. So, brother, this thing will be ironed out. But it won't be ironed out by our timetable. It'll be ironed out by Allah's timetable. And He's going to manifest the right and the wrong of it all so that you can make a clear decision and a clear choice as to where your sympathies and your heart should be. So I thank you for your question, and I really thank you for your beautiful, sincere statement. Your heart is beautiful. And for the good of your heart and the sincerity of your heart, I pray to Allah that He will guide you and bless you and guide me and bless me and those of us who are sincere to walk in the right path. And the path of Allah is strict and straight and pure and no deviation. So brother, the end will be all right. You see. Thank you. May Allah bless you. Brother, I'll be around for a few minutes and I'll talk to you.